everyone. Welcome and thank you for joining us in our MotoGP Q&A for the first time here on Discord. I'm Milestone's Community Manager and I'll be your voice for today. The session will begin shortly. In the meantime, please react to the message I'm sending right now to confirm if you can hear me clearly. Your response to our announce for this Q&A has been amazing. We have received a lot of questions to the point that I had to filter them. Our devs will do their best to answer as much questions as they can. Just remember that time is limited. Don't worry though, we are planning a second session focused on other aspects of MotoGP 23 that won't be talked much today. Before introducing our guests, I would like to remember you the rules that are pinned in the question channel. That said, we can finally begin. Let me introduce Michele Caletti, Executive Producer and Creative Director, and Stefano Zanaboni, Lead Game Designer for MotoGP 23. Hi Michele. Hi Stefano.
Hi guys, I'm Stefano, the lead game designer of MotoGP 23, and I'm happy and excited to be here to present to you the new chapter.
Hello guys and ladies. It's very nice to be here, to be in touch with you and in contact to answer your questions. So it's a very, very important moment for us also. Should I give a brief introduction to the title?
Welcome. It's amazing to have you here today. Without further ado, yes, let's begin. MotoGP 23, it's not only the new chapter in a long-time series, but also the 10th in a row after Milestone regained the MotoGP license. Quite an anniversary indeed. But that's not all, am I right? I get the feeling that MotoGP 23 is a new beginning for the series itself. What do you say, Michele?
Yes, this series is very, very different and very important for us because there's a lot to talk about. And I'll try to cover with a brief introduction the main topics, and then we'll go deeper with the questions. First of all, the release date. Many of you were asking also with private messages on social media, where's the game, where's the announcement? And now you know, it's due to the 8th of June for a couple of reasons. The first one is that the MotoGP Championship started a little later than usual, so it was basically impossible to get the bike pictures and measurements and everything to make them for the game. And secondly, we received last year and the previous year many feedbacks about having the correct bikes in day one. So we thought, fine, let's try to go after these feedbacks and try to deliver a very consistent, complete and updated game in day one. So we chose the 8th of June for this reason. Second one, MotoGP is changing as a sport, as a show, and there are many things that have been changing for the regulation. Most notably the sprint races. So many of you are asking, and yes, there are the sprint races, but not only. The new tracks will be available in day one, like Booth and Sokol, and also the small tweaks, or small or big tweaks on all the other tracks, and we'll cover it later again. Then, one of the biggest changes for this game is the career mode. We've been thinking a lot about what to do, what not to do, what to change, and many of you were asking about the career. So basically this year the career has been completely rewritten and rethought from the grounds up, including new concepts, rivals, turning points, the debut season, and many other things we can cover later on. But rest assured, the career is the focus of the game and is very and completely different from the last edition. Then there is one other big thing that we showcased in the reveal, the flag to flag and the change weather. Again, something that many of you were requesting year after year, and we've been able to implement this year. One thing that was not very evident, because it's very hard to convey into a trailer, is accessibility. Many of you are hardcore fans, but out there are many other players that need help and support and ways to get into something that is very complex indeed, motorcycle racing. So having assists based on neural AI for riding like a pro are something that you'll be able to find in this game. And finally, The online, there's a new feature called Live GP and some ranked options to play. We can go deeper in the following minutes about this. So I think I've been covering a lot, and there's a lot to know about MotoGP. So let's get started with the questions.
Great news so far, as one of our users said. I think it's fair to start with the career. Emma Box asked, what do you think you can improve of your bike in this new career mode?
Yes, for sure. One of the new way to we completely redesigned the way to develop the bike depending on your status in the team or in the manufacturer. For example, if we talk about Bagnaia, he is the leader manufacturer of Ducati, and he has to develop the bike starting from the first he used the spec A or the spec B, which is the bike that is delivered by the team. So depending on your status, you have different things to do, and you have to express to your team the area in which you want to accumulate a new development package. So the choice of the player will define which bike he uses in the remaining part of the season.
And so I think that it's nice to say that we have to, obviously to work under the regulations, because in MotoGP you cannot update everything you want. We stick to what's really possible to develop in terms of mechanics, but also we changed the way you get access to the new features. We've been inspired a lot by what happened in the last year to some Ducati riders. That mid-season we're given some update packages also in satellite teams, and while in MotoGP 22 you were basically slotting the research and development, moving engineers around to develop the bikes, it was something like a managerial career. This time around we've made it something that is very different. It blends to the concept of turning points, where somewhere during the year you will be presented, yes, a turning point. Do or not do, win or lose, achieve or do not achieve. So it's not anymore about moving your R&D stuff around, that it's a very, very different concept, but being presented challenges, goals, achieving and trying to overcome challenges and rivalries. So it's something that is more in the shoes or in the boots of a rider. What a real rider is presented as a challenge, and less about what is, I don't know, a team manager or an engineer. Because we wanted to focus you in the life of a rider.
And Michele, you mentioned and we saw in the trailer the social media part of the career. Emma Box, him again, or her, asked about it. What kind of interactions can you do in the social media part of the career? For example, there will be a number of answers you can give to that says something about you, or you will have more freedom answering?
Okay, the social media part is something that we implemented to support another concept and feature that are the rivalries. So during the season, you will build up a relationship with different riders close to you in terms of standings in the championship or action on the track. And some of them will interact with you on the social media. In order to, I don't know, trigger something like a challenge. So you can decide to give different answers and to trigger this challenge and to bring on the rivalry in one way or the other. And so it's a tool to support this kind of interaction. Again, inspired by real life, where sometimes riders interact on the socials in a way that is just meant to intimidate or challenge the others in a way that we can gamify and introduce into the game. Would you say?
See, I just want to add that the relationship between the player and the rivals, will have effect also during races and the session during the weekend. So, um, if you will answer to a rival in a good way, you will get your relation better with him. So, he will be less aggressive with you, and the same thing is for a bad relation with rivalries. If you had a bad relation with someone in the roster, you will be more aggressive during qualifying and during races.
And this, by the way, brings in the concept of being aggressive, because this time around the AIs have this feature modeled separately from the level of difficulty. There's this level of being aggressive or not. That is something that is new. So you can expect to have some riders that are more aggressive, and this trait can be exaggerated or toned down depending on your response and your actions, right?
Last question about the career, so we can change the topic in a few moments. Raffaele is asking, in the start of the career, the difference between various teams are less marked. The AI team develops the bike.
Well, this time in 23, the AI as the career starts with the debut season. So it's a purposely built short season in Moto 3 where you'll be presented gradually some of the new features and the structure of the career mode. So it's something like, I don't want to say tutorial, but it's a short introduction to the career. Then you'll move on. We're still frankly working on tweaking the teams because we've seen only very a handful of races. But we plan to represent the differences as much as possible like the real ones. And yes, I was already saying that there is new trait that defines the AI, that is the aggressiveness, that is very important to work on overtakes and during the development of the race. So it's something that we hope you'll be able to perceive and appreciate.
We can change the topic and talk about sprint races. Nick Za is asking, any information about the sprint races?
Yes, as Michele said before, we updated the new race format for MotoGP, and we introduced sprint races for the MotoGP class. And for all lower classes as Moto2 and Moto3, we're going to introduce the quick restart procedure. And so everything is updated as the new race format that Donna introduced this year.
Now I think the topic that all are asking about, multiplayer. Captain Bibi asked, we'll be able to see our online performance on a public profile with the number of online races carried out, the number of victories and podiums, the number of fastest laps.
Michele told us that we introduce in MotoGP 23 the live GP feature, and this is the first time we have ranked races in MotoGP, and every race and every statistics of the player will be recorded in a page with the you can watch it after a race.
But Live GP is much more than this, right? Because the core of the Live GP is a set of races that are basically scheduled along the week. So in fixed times, you'll be able to join, enter, and be matched according to your ranking and play with players of your level into these races that happen at given days and hours. So it's something that promotes fair and compelling racing, because there's a fixed time and an occasion not to waste, and being matched against people of your level is something that is important to keep the challenge even and to a high level. We've been a lot of experience with esports, and while this is not connected, it's something that we needed to push, because online play has been something that you've been requesting for a long time.
And now sticking to the multiplayer, mm, let's see which questions should I pick. Pixar, can you tell us more about the ranked in multiplayer? Is there some levels from 1 to 100 like in the SPK games from the past?
Yes, it will be, as I said before, there will be ranked races, and with this new system, all the players will be put in the same races with the people of the same rank. We had a huge leaderboard that collect all the players that participate at live GP, and so will be divided from the highest position to the lowest position.
And we have something interesting about the multiplayer that has been asked quite a few times. Is dynamic weather, flag to flag, also possible in multiplayer races, or is it limited to single player?
No, for sure, we have implemented also in online races as we did in offline races. So the players will be able to race we have the opportunity to make flag to flag races also online.
Moving on, since we mentioned dynamic weather, let's talk about dynamic weather. Jose Rodriguez asked, in the flag to flag, can you enter whenever you want with total freedom, or on the contrary, not do it and risk enduring like Austria 2021 Binder?
Oh yeah. Yes, you can do the binder style, absolutely, if you can. And what happens is that you have to start with the tires according to the actual regulations. So if it's dry, but it's pretty sure that it's going to rain, you have to start with the slicks. And if you have to start, if it's raining and if it's declared to be wet, you have to start with wet tires. But then happens to be the pit be open, so you can enter and swap the bike. You can also avoid to do it, but be warned that I've tried several times to do the binder trick, and it's very hard. Doable, but right. And what's nice and what's been challenging is that we also had to train the AIs to be able to change the bike not in the same lap. So the AIs decide to swap a bit early, just in time, or a bit late to try to have different strategies about the flag to flag. And it's very, very nice because you see also the AI being in big trouble sometimes when they swap later and it started raining and they do massive wobbles, and you're in the same situation, say, oh no, I have to get to the box now and I'm still having half of a lap to do, and it's nightmare. So if you stress it, you can see it really, really being working, and it's very, very nice to see, because you were right asking it. Basically, it's super nice to see and super fun to play.
Just right now, Alarm asked, will be there wet race to dry or just dry to wet?
No, there are both. There are both. And strategy is a bit different, but there are both. And obviously, we cannot do it in, I don't know, 3 lap races. It happens only after a threshold like 5 laps, 6 laps. Depends about the race length in percentage on the circuit. But it would be impossible to do it, I don't know, in 3 laps, because there's no basically time to swap the bikes. But it's very nice to see in both directions, wet to dry and dry to wet.
I just want to add one important thing, that the Nike weather is for the whole weekend and not only in races. So the strategy for the race starts in the free practice, or practice 1 or 2, as Dorna called this session this year. And so the player has the opportunity to prepare the second bike for a wet condition during the free practice. And this is the bike it will be called in case of flag-to-flag races.
I'll pause for a bit the dynamic weather flag-to-flag topic because, Michele, you said something about tires. You mentioned tires before. And I think a question from Zen could be very interesting because he asked about asymmetric tires.
Oh yes, we're sticking to what is really happening with the tire manufacturers. So the compound changes. They've changed a little bit the allotment of the tires, and we have asymmetric compounds. As in reality, they don't have the full choice like symmetric or asymmetric in all the compounds in all the tracks. Basically, manufacturers bring tires decided for the track. For example, Sachsenring absolutely needs the asymmetrical tire because there's a long left-hander succession of corners. When other tracks there is no need and there is the symmetric tire. So basically, yes, we mimic what the tire manufacturers do. We bring the asymmetric tires where needed.
Let's go back to the dynamic weather flag-to-flag. And Kevin asked that we have a flag-to-flag, of course, but are there two bikes available, for example, in free practice?
Yes, it's the thing I say before. We have the opportunity to prepare the second bikes during the free practice, so the player will find the bike for the wet conditions ready in case of flag-to-flag races.
And you can also save separately the bike setups, so you can load them later on, race after race, on the different bikes. So if you prepare a dry and wet setup, you can load them separately on different bikes and be ready for everything, right?
Yeah. You are right. Maybe your wet bike will be softer, and if we compare the bike for dry condition would be harder. I'm talking about the setup.
I think we have time for a last question about the dynamic weather flag-to-flag. How does it work? Nikki is asking, how does it work on Switch?
We want to give the opportunity to play flag-to-flag races also in platform Switch, and due to technical limitations, we decided to implement it with the quicker start procedure as in lower classes Moto2 and Moto3.
Then I think it's time to change again topic and talking about the AI. I choose the question from Moldi. Hope to pronounce it right. Will the AI be more consistent over different tracks? In MotoGP 22, there are some tracks like Misano or Le Mans where the AI is really slow, and on other tracks like Aragon, they are extremely aggressive, all on the same AI difficulty.
Well, we always try to do our best about the consistency and speed of the AI. We're still working on the last touches and development. We will continue to work and also follow your feedbacks because it's very important to hear you about. Basically, every year we try to do our best. So this year, I think we have improved basically the speed, the consistency, and also added some new features like the level of aggressiveness. So I think we're every year after year trying to improve what's available. But again, we plan also to support the game after day one, to keep following your feedbacks, your ideas, and your sentiment about the game. So it's very important for us, for you to be here and communicate with us.
So it's safe to say that the AI will be a challenge this year, will be very challenging.
Yes, also because it reacts about your choices in the career mode. It reacts about your level of relationship with the different riders in the career mode. And there are different traits about some riders being notoriously more aggressive or less. So it's fair to say that it's going to be tough, challenging, and interesting.
I had a question that I saw popping up earlier. Just give me a bit where it is. About the race director, will be added immediately, or should we wait?
The race director will be delivered soon, not day one, but soon for the online races.
So we touched the main topics. Now it's time for some miscellaneous questions before we can say goodbye for now to our fans. Let's see. You already answered about the new circuits, Sokol and Bud.
Yes, it's a big challenge because one of them is actually under construction and they're very complex to reach, to get the measurements, to get the scans, because we do use this drone technique to get the point cloud and make the tracks. But we're doing our best and will be available in day one. So it's going to be a MotoGP game fully updated in day one with the new tracks, with the MotoGP class, and shortly after with the Moto2 and Moto3 class. That's part of our challenge and our mission because it's one of the biggest requests from you and from all the other fans.
Maybe you can tell us something, anything you want, about the physics improvements?
Well, this year we have worked also on the physics. It's easy to overlook given all the other changes and new stuff we've been able to put into the game. But we obviously have worked also on the physics. First of all, we have worked on some corner cases, like when you downshift, when you use heavily the rear brake. We've made this behavior more realistic and more consistent. Then we have worked on some very, very complex aspects like the gyroscopic forces. What does it mean? It means when you are cornering, there are some forces that keep the bike upright or lean down. And when you interact with the gas during the corner exit, we wanted to represent this situation better. So you will feel the bike pushing outside the corner, all the horsepower pushing hard and trying to put the bike upright, exiting the corner like the rocket it is. And this will be even more present, even more tangible. And also we have worked into something that is admittedly even more obscure if you're not into math. That is again something that makes the bike more intuitive. It's about the grip simulation, again the gyroscopic forces and the contact forces. It's something that you feel like you can get into some extreme situations like wobbles, some power drifts, some heavy braking, and it's more reliable. It's something you can trust more. The front end of the bike in some situations and the rear end is more stable or unstable, but you feel like you're in control and you can pull out something that maybe last year was very, very hard to see or to control. It's very hard to say in words, but when you have the joypad in your hands, it will be clearer. And for those who are a little bit intimidated about all of this physics stuff, again, I like to say about the neural AI helps because we have this AI that is based on this cutting edge technology. And we said, what about incorporating it into the helps for the player? So you can basically have the neural AI supporting you, so blending in within your control. And if you want, you can set up different levels of interaction between what you do and the AI. And it's not like something the AI takes away the joypad from you. It's something that it can be as subtle as you don't notice, but by something like magic, you write better, up to the level where it's notable, but you're basically doing something you would not be available. And it's better than the other helps we had the last year. Some of them were staying, some of them were removed. It's better because it's smart. So it helps newcomers to do something that would not be able to do. So it's something we're very proud to be introducing this year.
Sadly, we're running out of time, so I might ask you only one question, and it's from KG03 about the dashboards. Previous games had MotoGP bike dashboards different from what we see in real life. Are there any plans to improve that? I think it's good to know what it's all this dashboard
Well,
thing.
that's very specific, and basically the dashboard we have into the game are very close to the real ones, but the real ones are a super complex object where if you're into, you know that you can call different views, so it's not something like a fixed one, and we mimic that. You can call with a triangle button or Y button different views depending on what you want to have displayed. In reality, they don't have some data we need to reproduce for the gameplay. For example, a real MotoGP rider would not have the speed at all, and it's a little harsh for players not to have even remotely the speed on the dashboard. So the dashboard you see are just, in fact, realistic, very realistic, copied from the actual ones for each manufacturer. But it's something like we have to gamify a little bit to make them usable and supporting players in actual gameplay. So in fact, they're quite realistic, I think. Even in the colors, in the style, and we allow to recall some of the functions, like if you want to see tire temperatures or some other aspects of the brakes, etc. Some of these data is not available to real riders in real life, or some other aspects are not interesting for the players, like, I don't know, oil temperature. But I think we've done a fair job into conveying the complexity, usability, and looks of the real dashboards into the game.
This is the end of our first Q&A. I'm quite sorry because there are really a lot of questions, but I'm happy that our fans joined us today. And don't worry, we keep these questions, and there will be a second session in the future. We will let you know when, where. Of course, it will be on here on Discord. Again, this first session has been recorded, and it will be available to be listened as soon as possible. I'll let you know. Thank you again, both Michele and Stefano, but mostly thank you all of our fans that joined us today, and see you in the future next time.
Thank you, bye.
Bye bye.